We have to repudiate that. And the way to do it is to get out and vote. And my buddy Billy Feitlinger told me he can do it right over here at the Central Public Library as soon as we get done. Let's get that done. Let's start voting. Dane County's already taken the lead in early voting. Keep it up. Thank you. Let me now introduce my wonderful friend and I hope future colleague, Senator Elizabeth Warren.
Wisconsin. There is so much for me to say. Thank you, Wisconsin. Thank you for sending Tammy Baldwin to the United States Senate. Thank you for sending Russ Feingold to the United States Senate. And thank you for being the state that will send Hillary Clinton to the White House. Yes. You know, I'm here because Hillary Clinton and Russ Feingold fight for families. They fight for Wisconsin families. They fight for working families. They know what it means to build a future. Not a future just for a small slice at the top, but a future for all of us. And that's what this election is all about. Are we an America that says this government works only for those at the top? Or are we an America that says we build a future for all of our people? That's what this is about. Now, Russ is right when he points out about this. This is personal. I'm not somebody who always thought, wow, I just can't wait to get into politics. Not even close. In fact, all my life, all I ever wanted is I wanted to be a teacher. Can we hear it for our teachers? Yes. You know, for a lot of teachers, it truly is a calling. I used to line up my dollies and teach them. It was tough being one of my dollies, you know. Did you do your homework last night or not? You know, a little ragged around the edges. But my family didn't have a lot. By the time I came along and was growing up, my 3 older brothers were all off in the military. My daddy had worked a lot of different jobs. He ended up as a janitor. My mom worked a minimum wage job at Sears. And my mom and dad, like other mamas and daddies, they would have given me anything they had. They just didn't have anything to give me to send me to college. And so for me, what it all ultimately came down to was the opportunity to go to a commuter college that cost $50 a semester. Yeah, and I hung on to that opportunity for dear life. And it opened a million doors for me. And it's how I understand education, that it truly is the path to opportunity, and we've got to keep that door open, not just for some of our kids, but for all of our kids. So, you know, sometimes when I talk to people and say I went to a college that cost $50 a semester, they laugh. I mean, because what else can you say? But that's what it meant to grow up in an America that was investing in our kids, an America that was growing and investing in the future. You know, we were that America once. It come out of the Great Depression. America did 2 things that were powerfully important. The first is that we regulated the banks. We said the banks are not going to roll over the economy in this country. Glass-Steagall, FDIC insurance, SEC, a cop on the beat. We said there's going to be serious bank regulation. The second thing we said we're going to do is we're going to use that opportunity to build a future for ourselves and for our kids. So we invested. We invested in education, a GI Bill, NDEA loans, state universities. We invested in education on the idea that if our kids got better educated, their opportunities would multiply. We invested in infrastructure, in roads and bridges and power and communications. Why? We didn't know what the next great business was going to be, but we were pretty darn sure they'd need electricity. And so we all invested so that America was a good place to build businesses. Right here in this country, we invested. And I got to mention one more. We invested in research. What a remarkable people. Scientific research, medical research, engineering research, social sciences research. We invested in research because we believed that if we built a giant pipeline of ideas, that the future would expand for everyone. We made those investments. And here's the thing. It worked. You look at the numbers, 1935 to 1980, GDP just keeps going right on up. And the 90% of America, everybody not in the top 10%, the 90% of America got 70% of all the income growth in this country. We built it. We did it together. And I don't kid myself, it was not a perfect world. There were lots of places women weren't welcome, African Americans weren't welcome, Latinos weren't welcome, LGBT were held firmly in the closet, but we were bending it in the right direction. Following the civil rights movement in the 1960s and the 1970s, the black-white wealth gap, which has been with us for as long as we've counted the numbers, was cut by 30%. We were headed the right way. And then came along the Republicans. Starting in about, let's just say 1980, Ronald Reagan had a very different idea. And the idea was boiled down to this: help the rich and powerful get richer and more powerful. They called it trickle-down economics, but the bottom line was do two things. The first was start deregulating the financial institutions. You know, they called it deregulation. I'll tell you what it really was. It was just fire the cops. Not the cops on Main Street, the cops on Wall Street. So they could misbehave and not get caught. The second was they said, let's cut taxes for those at the top, help the rich stay richer. And what's the consequence of that? Less money for education, less money for infrastructure, less money for basic research. And here's the deal. Their vision, it worked too. 1980 to 2016, GDP kept going right on up. We are a richer country. But the 90%, the folks who'd gotten 70% of all the income growth in the earlier period, the 90% got less than 1% of all the income growth. And now, not today. Not today. Not today. And by the way, I just want to throw in one more stat on this, because I am still a wonk at heart. Let's face it, I just am. So the 90% basically gets nothing. 100% of growth in income, 99.6% of growth in income, ends up with the top 10% from 1980 to 2016. The black-white wealth gap that had begun to shrink trebles in this time period. That's what's happening. So now we live in a world where Washington works for those at the top. It's just not working for the rest of America. The reason I want to be here today is because Russ Feingold and Hillary Clinton and I are going to fight that. We're going to fight that. That's it. We are going to fight a Republican philosophy that is the Paul Ryan, Scott Walker, Donald Trump philosophy, doubled and redoubled. Help the rich and powerful get richer and more powerful, and step on the faces of anyone who gets in your way. The game is rigged, and I say it's time to fight back. What do you say? So, Ron Johnson. You know, I'm serious about this. I'm an empiricist. Let's not just do political talk. I want to look at Ron Johnson's votes. You know, he came in here 6 years ago, spent $9 million of his own money to buy this Senate seat in Wisconsin, and then he has voted over and over and over to help rich guys like himself. So when we put together a bill to refinance student loans to lower rates, Ron Johnson voted no. When we voted on a budget resolution to protect and expand Social Security, Ron Johnson voted no. When we voted to raise the minimum wage, Ron Johnson voted no. And when we voted for equal pay for equal work, Ron Johnson voted no. Now, Ron Johnson didn't always vote no. Nope. When the Republicans moved to defund Planned Parenthood and health clinics for poor women, Ron Johnson voted yes. When the Ryan budget to privatize Social Security and voucherize Medicare came up, Ron Johnson voted yes. And when Republicans moved to repeal the Affordable Care Act, Ron Johnson voted yes, and filed a ridiculous lawsuit in federal court, by the way. And just one more. When it was time to vote to fast track the TPP trade deal, Ron Johnson was a big fat yes. Look, Wisconsin needs a senator who will vote for hardworking people, and that's Russ Feingold. Russ and I have been friends for more than 20 years. Back when I was a college professor, and I was just calling around to Senate offices, trying to get some help stopping the banks and credit card companies from cheating people. That's what it boiled down to. I can't tell you how many people hung up on me, but one person who said, I'm in and I'm in all the way, was Russ Feingold. You bet. I'm here today because Russ stood up to the big banks. He's my kind of guy. I'm here today because Russ pushed landmark legislation to keep money out of politics. Yes. I'm here because Russ was the very first person to oppose the Iraq War. Yes. And I'm here because Russ Feingold is a champion of justice. He authored the very first federal bill to combat racial profiling, and he was a leading champion of our gay and lesbian communities before almost anyone, announcing his support back in 2006. That's a man who stands up for what's right, for what's right. So Russ and I have done this both ways. I've been on the outside calling him in the Senate. He's been on the outside calling me in the Senate. I can't wait till we're both in the Senate working on these issues. Yeah. So, this fight to level the playing field, this fight to create opportunity, is so important right now because Donald Trump is now the leader of the Republican Party. Don't kid yourself, not Mitch McConnell, not Paul Ryan, not Ted Cruz. This is Donald Trump's party, and the party now reflects Donald Trump. Tomorrow night, right here in Wisconsin, is extreme Republican hug night. 3 top Republicans will meet right here. Donald Trump, the ultimate racist bully, will stand with Speaker Paul Ryan, the ultimate Republican insider, and Ron Johnson, the ultimate Tea Party radical. No more tiptoeing around, no more polite pretending. That is party unity. And every ugly, racist, sexist, coarse, crude, hateful thing that Donald Trump has said is officially part of the DNA of the Republican Party. You believe it. We've been watching it in action. Trump sets up a fake university to scam people. He gets sued, and then he attacks the judges' Mexican heritage. And let's be clear, Paul Ryan and Senator Johnson stick with him. Trump calls Latinos rapists and murderers, and Speaker Ryan and Senator Johnson stand right with him. Trump calls African Americans thugs, and Speaker Ryan and Senator Johnson stick with him. Trump attacks a Gold Star family, and Speaker Ryan and Senator Johnson stand with him. Trump says that Vladimir Putin is a better leader than Barack Obama, and Speaker Ryan and Senator Johnson stick with him. Trump calls women fat pigs and bimbos and goes on Twitter at 3 a.m. to criticize a woman's weight. Really? And Speaker Ryan and Senator Johnson are like puppies on a leash, sticking right there with Donald Trump. Now, I tell you something. If Speaker Paul Ryan and Senator Ron Johnson don't have the backbone to stand up to Donald Trump, I guarantee they don't have the backbone to go to Washington to fight for Wisconsin families. I guarantee it. And that is why I'm with Russ and I'm with Hillary. They stand for families, not with this. They do. You know, shortly before the 2008 crisis that hit families hard in Wisconsin and all across this country, Trump said he was excited for the coming housing crash. Why? Because he could scoop up more property on the cheap. You know, you got to think, what kind of a man does that? What kind of a man roots for people to lose their homes? A small, insecure money grubber who cares about no one but himself. A man who will never be president of the United States. That's who. Trump stiffed painters and plumbers and construction workers who built his golf courses and casinos, knowing that if they stood up for themselves, his high-priced attorneys would pound them into the dirt. What kind of a man does that? A pathetic, heartless bully. A man who will never be president of the United States. That's right. Oh, and our latest go-round. Trump said in the first presidential debate that he was smart not to pay his taxes. That's right, He's smart and all of you are stupid. I mean, that's his message. He's smart and everyone who pays taxes to support our roads and bridges is stupid. He's smart and everyone who pays taxes to support our world-class military is stupid. He's smart and everyone who pays taxes to support medical research and scientific research is stupid. Stupid, according to Donald Trump, because he's just going to use all those benefits and not pay a dime. What kind of a man does that? A selfish little sleazeball, a man who will never be president of the United States. You bet. You bet. You know, we're starting to get an idea of why Donald Trump doesn't want to release his tax returns. You know, in 1995, in just one year, that happened to come to light. In that 1 year, Donald Trump said he lost nearly $1 billion running his casinos. You know, losing $1 billion running casinos where the house always wins? Let's face it, he is a two-bit con man who may be the worst businessman in the history of America. And that's just one more reason he'll never be president of the United States. Okay, I know who I don't want to be president, but I just want to point out, Hillary Clinton has spent her whole career standing up to bullies like Donald Trump. Yeah. She's been on the receiving end of one attack after another for 25 years. And you know what? She doesn't back down. She doesn't whimper. She doesn't whine. She doesn't run to Twitter at 3 o'clock in the morning. Nope. She just remembers the kids and the women and the families who need her most. And she gets up every day and fights harder for them. That's our candidate. Hillary has brains, she has guts, she has thick skin and a steady hand. But most of all, she has a basic decency. And that's what America needs. I'm with her. Are you with her? Good. All right. So we're here with Russ. We're here with Hillary. God, that feels good to say. We're here with Russ. We're here with Hillary. This is what it means to be with them. The first one is to vote. How many people in here have not yet voted? But it's a lot of hands. Okay, when you go out these doors, you turn that way, you go straight across the street, and you get yourself voted today. Today. Okay? If you don't want to do it today, stop and talk to me. I will give you a reason to do it today. Remember, I used to line my dolls up. I know how to get things done. Okay, so that's number one, vote today. But we need more than your vote. Second thing is volunteer. Volunteer. That's how we get those votes out. Please, please, please volunteer. You can go to russfeingold.com, hillaryclinton.com. They're running a coordinated campaign. Click on either one of those and you can find a way to volunteer. You can knock on doors. You can talk to people on the phone. If you don't like speaking to other human beings, you can enter data. It's okay, I'm married to one of those guys. It's fine. There are lots of things that people can do to help. You can deliver signs, you can get people to the polls. But we need to turn people out. Democracy does not survive on its own. It is up to us. Okay. The library's the place to volunteer. We got volunteers to tell you how to volunteer. Perfect. Perfect. This is democracy. So let's get out there and make this one happen. You know, we have to do this. You know, this is what frustrates me so much. If everybody voted, we win. So that's our goal, is to keep pushing. When democracy works, we win. Wisconsin is not for sale. We got to get out there and make our votes count, so please, volunteer. Okay, last thing I want to say to you. Ultimately, we've talked about good people, we've talked about bad people, we've talked about voting records. This really comes down to our values. That's what elections are about. It's about the expression of our values. It's about why we get up in the morning and what we get out there and fight for. So I want to talk for just a minute. Feingold is fighting for, what Hillary Clinton is fighting for, what I'm fighting for, and what I hope everyone in this room is fighting for. Let's start here. Ron Johnson has said that college students think that loans are free money. You bet we will. You may have heard, Wells Fargo cheats tens of thousands of people. But here's the deal. Ron Johnson and Donald Trump want to repeal the rules on Wall Street, and they want to leash up the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau watchdog. You know, we believe in more accountability for Wall Street, and when CEOs break the law, they ought to go to jail just like anyone else. What do you think? You think so? You think so? Yep. Republicans right here in Wisconsin have attacked labor unions, have tried to undercut collective bargaining. Trump is a union buster. We believe that unions built America's middle class, and unions will rebuild America's middle class. That's what we believe. Republicans support trade deals that leave workers eating dirt. And Trump outsources his own manufacturing. Well, we believe in American workers and jobs right here in America, and that means no TPP. No TPP. That's what we will fight for. You know, Ron Johnson and Donald Trump don't just oppose raising the minimum wage, they want to repeal the federal minimum wage. They say, hey, let folks have the crumbs left over from the billionaires' tables. You know, we believe that no one should work full-time and live in poverty. And that means raising the minimum wage for all of us. Yes. Republicans are just fine with the Ryan plan to privatize and cut Social Security. Well, we believe that after a lifetime of hard work, everyone is entitled to retire with dignity, and that means protecting and expanding Social Security. That's where we are. Republicans have no problem with women earning less, or with defunding Planned Parenthood. You know, this is one of those, I cannot believe I have to say this in 2016, but we believe in equal pay for equal work and a woman's right to decisions over her own body. You think so? Yes. 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 You bet. Donald Trump calls African Americans thugs, Muslims terrorists, Latinos criminals. Ron Johnson still supports him. Hey, Ronald and Donald. Well, we believe that racism and injustice and bigotry have no place in this country. We believe that Black lives matter and that we will never build Donald Trump's stupid wall. That we believe in equality for all of our people. Yes, yes. That's what makes our country strong. Okay, I'm going to say one really controversial. Up against climate change deniers, Trump, the Republican Party. Okay, here we go. We believe in science. More than that, we believe in science, and we believe it is our moral obligation to leave this earth clean and livable for our children, our grandchildren, and our grandchildren's children. You know I could do this all day. I'm just going to do one more. But it is important. It's important that we get together and remind each other what we fight for. So I'm going to do just one more. Ron Johnson and Donald Trump both believe that millionaires and billionaires and giant corporations can buy elections. This is why we need Russ Feingold. We believe in overturning Citizens United and getting money out of politics and returning democracy to the people. Yes, that's what we believe. Yes. Hillary Clinton's agenda and Russ Feingold's agenda isn't just a Democratic agenda. It is a Wisconsin agenda. It is an American agenda. It is how we build a future. Hillary and Russ are tough, smart, experienced leaders who will fight for their values, who will fight for our values. And now it is time for us to fight for Hillary and Russ. Are you ready to fight for Hillary? Are you ready to fight for Russ? Are you ready to fight for America?